just going to say shock mount. I haven't heard that since my honeymoon. Hello and welcome to another episode of JoomCast, the podcast that features people who are part of the Joomla community and discovers how they got here, what they contribute to Joomla, where they're going, and a whole bunch more. My name is Tim Davis of CyberSalt and the Basic Joomla Tutorials YouTube channel, and I'm here with my co-host Chaitan Madan of JoomDev, who are behind the wildly popular Asteroid framework for Joomla and Page Builder for Joomla, JD Builder. Hey Chaitan!
Hi Tim.
How are you doing?
Isolated.
Yes, you're isolated.
How about yourself?
I'm isolated too. It feels a lot like high school. For those of you listening, it's March 27th. So for context, when eventually you do listen to this, of course.
Hopefully the isolation is away. I don't think it will be, but hopefully the lockdown areas have opened back up.
Yes, because I think this is going to air somewhere towards the end of April, which is just over a month because we have a couple in the can. But anyways, we will see.
For those of you who don't know about Joomla, Joomla is a CMS or a content management system for building websites. As of today's recording date, Joomla is running version 3.9.16 stable, and for Joomla 4, we have version Alpha 12. We recently recorded an episode with George Wilson, who is the release head for Joomla 4, and he did said we are about to see a beta version, which would be a promising handshake to get a stable version out by sometime in May when the J and Beyond conference is happening. So we're all very looking forward to it.
And they can listen to that interview because it's already aired just before this one. So be sure to check that out.
Yes.
Let's meet our guest for today. Brian Mitchell is founder of Intergen, a hosting and web development company headquartered in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, working in the Joomla space since early 2006. Brian originally started his career as a musician and likes to play guitar. Brian has a graduate degree in organizational development and was recently elected the president of Joomla.
Hi, Brian. Welcome to JoomCast.
Hi, Chaitan. Hi, Tim. I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's your second time.
It is my second time, although I'm much more relaxed about this conversation. It was
and
last
prepared.
time actually less prepared this time. Last time I was much more conscientious about making sure I was adhering to what was it, 2 minutes per question?
That's right. The last time we were interviewing you and Rowan just before the presidential election. And so we gave you each some prepared questions and gave you 2 minutes to answer each of them. So you have a lot more room to hang yourself.
I do. And short answers are not always my strong suit. So I trust, Tim, that you and Chaitan will do a nice job in post-production, providing punchy, short, pithy responses to all of your questions.
Brian, who are you? Give us a little glimpse of your personal life.
I'm a father of three. I have two sons that are in college, one in Minnesota, the other is in Southern Illinois, and I have a daughter who's a junior in high school. And so these are strange days. I know they're strange days for everyone with all of the safer at home things going on. So at a time that my wife and I, she and I will have been married 25 years this summer. At a time that she and I were sort of expecting a very quiet household, we're finding everybody has come home to roost in the last couple of weeks while we're all safer at home. So I have enjoyed very much all of my. Chaitan mentioned that I'm a musician. My wife is as well. So are all three of my children, and so there's a lot of music in our house these days, as always. And that's always been a big part of our family life. And in addition to that, I build a few websites on the side during the day. So I say that jokingly. I'm very busy with Intergen, helping our clients, and I'm finding myself even busier with Joomla these days. But it's all to the good. I'm enjoying all phases of life, whether it's family or music or Joomla. It's all been a wonderful experience in the last couple months.
I enjoyed seeing on Facebook a video of you and two of your children playing and singing, and you were playing the banjo. So we said that you like to play the guitar. The banjo is a bit like a guitar, only off its meds.
Yes. There was a show that my daughter was in a couple of years ago, or last year, and it was written by Steve Martin. If you know the American comedian Steve Martin,
Yeah.
he is also a world-class banjo player. He's an amazing, amazing musician. He co-wrote a show with Edie Brickell called Bright Star, and the director had approached me about picking up the banjo for that show, and I foolishly said yes, not realizing how ridiculous an instrument the banjo is, and it has nothing in common with the guitar other than they both have strings. So it was a lot of work to get ready for that, but it was a lot of fun too. So, and that video is public, so I don't know if you want to drop that in the show notes page. We sort of did it acknowledging all the stuff that's going on right now, and just a little way for our family to blow off some steam and share some good news with folks.
We sure will add to the show notes, Brian. How did you get into the Joomla world?
So my first job out of college, my undergrad was in music education, and I had really been preparing to be a high school choir director in terms of my school work up to that point. But I was approached right after I graduated about the possibility of taking over a high school program for a rather large local church. They had about 3,000 families. There were about 8,000 parishioners and about 400 high school students in their program. And they wanted music to be a really central part of that program. So they invited me to apply for a position that I was hired for. And of course, being fresh out of college, I was the youngest staff member and quickly became the go-to guy for everything from fixing the printer to helping figure out what was going on with their Windows updates. And when it came time for the church, and this was in the mid-90s, when it came time for the church to fire up their first website, they looked to me to coordinate with the volunteers that actually knew what they were doing. And after a couple of iterations of the site in like PHP Nuke and Post Nuke, somebody finally introduced us to Mambo. And so that was my first exposure to the platform. And that's what got me started. And we realized that the website was important enough to the organization that we probably should bring content management and technical support in-house. And of course, that fell under my purview. And it didn't take long before other churches in the area were going, wow, you guys have a nice website that's updated on a regular basis. And it looks like there's all sorts of people contributing content. How are you doing that? Because this is at a time when everyone else was building stuff in Dreamweaver. So we were afforded the opportunity to share some of that experience with other folks, and somehow that slowly morphed into a business over the next 5 or 10 years. So that's kind of how I got from music to working with high school kids at a church to being involved. Those were my early days with Joomla.
And back then, sites being built with Dreamweaver were like Volvos. They were boxy, but nice. So...
Back then, it was about fighting off Flash. I just remember all the Flash websites, and that was going to be the hot new thing. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, just please, no.
And Flash is going away this year.
Yes.
It's still around. It's still a thing.
On iPhones, you can't run Flash anyway because Adobe and Apple have that fight going on. But on Google Chrome, they are discontinuing it somewhere towards the end of the year. So you won't be able to run Flash use websites using Google Chrome anymore.
I always remember when the iPhone came out, Steve Jobs personally famously blogged about Flash. And in the blog post, I'm sure it's still out there. If you look up thoughts on Flash, it's one of the few blog posts straight from the desk of Steve Jobs. I thought it was pretty interesting at the time.
So that's how you started out. What are some notable projects you'd like to talk about? What are some of the ones that really stick out in your mind down through the years?
In terms of projects that I've worked on, in terms of websites? Oh my goodness. Wow. Starting out, it's interesting starting out in having built our first website for a church. We actually have grown up a bit. We do the website for the Diocese of Green Bay, Wisconsin. So that's gbdioc.org. We didn't actually do the design for that site, but we've helped them a lot with development and are providing a lot of hosting and support for that. So that's been a really good project. We had an opportunity. I know a lot of Joomlers will remember Dawn Russell. We had an opportunity to do some work with Dawn through the Joomla Resources Directory. And actually ended up acquiring her company about 3 years ago. My Artisan Web became part of Intergen, and she has really done a nice job developing client relationships and did some beautiful work. Tasha Tutor and Family.com is a beautiful website that Dawn put together, so we're happy to continue to provide service for them. I don't know. We've got a lot of clients. It's hard to pick out our favorites. But yeah, so those are just a handful of a few that we've done or that we're providing services for.
Where do you see yourself or Joomla a few years down the line?
Obviously, at least for the next 12 months or so, those two conversations are very connected. And that's kind of where my time horizon is at with Joomla right now, because obviously there's a lot of really exciting things going on. You mentioned that you've been talking with George about Joomla 4, but I feel like that sort of symbolizes a lot of what's happening in the community at large. There's sort of this pent-up demand for the next version of things. And I think there's a lot of positive energy around changes that we've been looking forward to for a long time. A lot of people have done an amazing amount of work to get us to this point where we're right on the brink of crossing over. One of the things I've been focusing on, especially in recent weeks, and I think is going to be really central. I know I spent a lot of time talking about the core values during the election. And in recent weeks, the one that has stood out to me the most is usability. The other 6 values seem to have a really strong focus on how we function as a community. It's community, collaboration, equality. Those are all things that talk about how we interact with each other as human beings. Transparency. Usability is the one that seems to speak most to the technology, first and foremost. And I have just been thinking about all of the different ways that people encounter Joomla as a technology product, and thinking about what are the things that we can do to leverage what Joomla has done very well historically, and ways that we can improve our processes, especially as they relate to usability. So I'm really focused on what that means for our authoring experience. And I know the Media Manager is an exciting new thing that's coming in Joomla 4 that would help speak to that. I think we could also spend a lot of time reflecting on the site creation experience. What does it feel like to build a site in Joomla versus other platforms? And what can we learn from those platforms about how to do things more effectively? And then, of course, for our amazing community of extension developers, what's their user experience like in terms of building secure, high-quality extensions that have a viable market where there's a lot of demand for what they're putting out there. So obviously our end user is always the public that's visiting those websites, but I think if we can improve our usability around the authoring experience, around the site creation experience, and around the extension development experience, those will be great opportunities to level up as a platform and as a community.
So as you approach in coming days, very soon, officially becoming the president, you probably have a wide range of emotions. So to the one extreme that's super happy and excited, what are you thinking? And on the other extreme, which is dread and bemoaning, it's up to you to share how far you want to share from that. What are you feeling?
Yes. No, it's just a really interesting time all around. And it's strange because obviously I'm feeling that on a very personal level, but everyone is feeling we're at this strange inflection point in the history of the world, right? So for me, I'm experiencing all of it as kind of one thing altogether. And, I know there are a lot of very, very serious challenges that people are facing, but I'm also seeing a lot of signs of hope in the midst of that. So it's like the entire world is learning to video conference overnight, and learning that, our company's been a remote work environment forever, for almost a decade or more. So my day-to-day workflow and experience, I'm sitting and working in the same spot I have for a very long time. It's just the kids are in the other room now. So, but it's interesting watching our educators, people, our teachers, learning how to use the tools that we're all very comfortable and familiar with. All of a sudden, overnight, everything is going online. And we've been, the education system obviously has been working towards this for a while. So there's a lot of positive things that are coming out of that. So in terms of my own feelings, Tim, it's a broad range of sort of what just happened, pinch me, how did I get here? But also, I would be dishonest if I didn't acknowledge that there's anxiety. I want to make sure that the time that I have, and I'm blessed and honored to be in this position, that I make good use of on behalf of the community, that I'm a good steward of the opportunity. So there are nights that I spend some time reflecting on just making sure I bring the best of what I'm able to bring to the position and to the community. And on the flip side, man, it's really amazing getting to meet so many people, to share in so many different exciting conversations. Part of what I love about the whole Joomla project is I think it gives normal people like myself an opportunity to make a really significant difference in the world. I can't imagine in what other context of my life I would find myself talking to Tim up in Canada. Chayton, you're in India, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, and here I am in Milwaukee, and we're talking about how to make the world a better place. I just can't imagine what other context would afford me that opportunity.
In the U.S., it's very popular when a candidate is campaigning for the president. They say, we're going to do this in the first 100 days, right? So what have you planned for the Joomla community or for yourself in the first 100 days? Is there anything that you have planned?
Yes. So my first 100 days, it's interesting because this is a question that keeps coming up. You referenced the United States. Sometimes historians will talk about this transition of the president of the United States starting out as a servant of the people, and we've sort of evolved that to become what is sometimes referred to as the imperial presidency, where the president has this vision and this idea about how they're going to change the world, and it's everybody else's job to get in line behind them and make it happen. And I think that's ludicrous. So my 100 days are dedicated to conversations with people like you, with people. I had an amazing conversation just a couple of days ago with different jug leaders from different jugs around the United States. There was a virtual meeting that was pulled together. I'd love to be connecting more substantially with people in production, with marketing. I know Eric Lammy's doing some amazing foundational work for marketing Joomla 4 and the big push behind that. So my first 100 days is going to be dedicated, as it already is, to getting to know more people broadly in the community and really learning what it is I can do as president to support the amazing work that they're already doing.
Brian, what do you think is holding Joomla back?
When we met for the Forum for the Future in Spain, I'm really good at remembering what people say. I'm not always great at remembering who said it. But one of the contributors in the conversation that I was helping to facilitate made a statement that has stuck with me since in the last 2 months since I've been home. And they said, somewhere along the way, Joomla went from a community of I will to a community of may I or can I. And I think that has become a barrier to the community moving forward. It's difficult because there is this tension between wanting to standardize things, and professionalism was one of the tracks there. And I think it is important to have established processes and procedures and policy. But at the same time, I think part of what can make an organization like Joomla so effective and dynamic is to have folks working hard at the fringes, taking risks and doing things that aren't codified and in a rule book. So I think somewhere along the way we have sort of fallen back on whose permission do I need, where's the policy, what's the procedure. And if those things exist, we should be respectful of each other and work to collaborate in that way. But we also shouldn't, if those rules don't exist and they're not codified, let's establish some practice. Let's experiment and then learn from that. And I always feel like policy follows practice. So if something is new and different, don't worry about writing the policy first. Try it. See what works. And by the time you write the policy, it'll be an afterthought because people will be so used to doing it the new way. So I think that's been a significant barrier, especially in recent years.
Brian, what is something that you learned later in life that you would go back and tell a younger you?
Don't worry about it. So I've feel like I've taken good advantage of opportunities that have presented themselves, but I always do so with just an incredible amount of like angst and anxiety. That feeling of, is everything going to be okay? And lately I've just found myself finding a greater sense of peace, just in the sense of do your best for today and plan for tomorrow, but then just trust that things are going to work out and be okay. So I think if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I've enjoyed the ride, but I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more if I didn't spend so much time worrying about what's next and just focusing on planning for the future, but enjoying the moment.
With that, it's time for rapid fire. Brian, are you ready?
I am ready. I'm excited. I've been looking forward to rapid fire. So I have no idea what you're going to ask, Chayton. What's coming?
Well, actually, this time we decided that all the questions would be asked in Hindi.
I have a college roommate, Sandeep Murthy, who I unfortunately have not stayed in touch with. Hindi was in his vocabulary. He was from New Delhi. So perhaps this is my shout out to Sandy. If you're listening, perhaps he can call in and translate.
Chayton's from New Delhi. Do you know him?
No, I think last time I saw him, it was a while ago.
It was, me too.
You've seen him. Yeah. Other than the usual suspects, Brian, name a favorite Joomla extension that you do not own yourself.
A favorite extension I own, I really struggled with this because one of the things I'm struggling with as president is for some reason there's like this sense of importance now. So I'm just going to keep it really close to home, and we acknowledge there's a former board member of Open Source Matters that lives about 15 minutes away from me, Victor Drover, and he runs a company called Watchful. As I mentioned earlier in the podcast, we have quite a few websites under management, and the dashboard that Watchful provides has been very helpful in helping maintain and manage those effectively. It really leverages our team well. So, Watchful.
What is an extension for Joomla that does not exist that you'd like to see developed?
I would love to see a really effective project management solution in Joomla. There've been some good attempts at that, and part of it is I'm very particular in what I'm looking for. But man, I would love to see a really well done project management tool for Joomla.
But you're right. That's something where Joomla does not have anything. There's literally nothing that stands off if you want to do something like project management inside a Joomla website. Like
I said, we tried a good number of them along the way. I'm a big fan of Google has this concept of eating your own dog food. So our company, whenever we're looking for a technology solution, we're always looking within the Joomla ecosystem first. Right. And if we're not able to find it there, then we'll start. Then we sort of expand the circle to say, okay, open source. What's open source that's going to serve our needs well? And then from there, we move beyond that if necessary. So
now the third question is a real tricky. The question is, what is one thing that you'd like to change in Joomla, assuming you were in charge? Since you are in charge, what do you plan on changing?
Actually, I would disagree with you, Chayton. I would tell the president that he is there to serve the community. So again, it kind of goes back to that comment I made earlier, where we have this notion that we have this huge pool of volunteers that are here to serve some kind of agenda that I have. And I certainly have very particular thoughts and ideas that I have about where I'd like to see Joomla as a community go and where I'd like to see the software go. And I'll share those in every conversation, as I was talking about usability earlier. But right. I am one voice in a global community. And my job, and the job of the entire board, is really to do everything we can to create the environment where everybody else can be amazing. So our job is just to provide the tools and the resources and everything that we can do to allow all of the volunteers to flourish and bring the very best of their creativity to the forefront.
What is something you like or love about Joomla?
I think it's my favorite thing about Joomla is that it demonstrates that there is a different way to be in the world. We live in a world that is dominated by corporate interests, by business interests, and by government interests. And Joomla is this weird thing there that sort of is neither. And obviously a lot of us are making our living using the platform and the software. But I love the sense of people coming together and collaborating and working on a project. And volunteerism is a strong part of American history, and we've lost that in a lot of ways. And for me, Joomla is a great shining example to the rest of the world that we can collaborate and work together and do amazing things. And it's not always about the corporate interest, and it's not always about the government interest. We actually can just come together because we believe in something and share a set of values and enjoy working together.
All right, here's the last one. Name someone who contributes a lot to Joomla.
Oh, this was the toughest one, I won't lie. And I know I'm supposed to pick one, right? Because I don't want to ruin it for future guests. So it'd be really tempting.
I also like to acknowledge that you obviously have studied and listened to episodes, because you're saying, oh, this was the hardest one. we don't give the questions. We just never change them.
That's true. Yes. Full disclosure. But you're right. I've enjoyed the podcast. I stumbled across it a few months ago, even before Tim and I had a chance to meet. And so I'm thrilled with what you guys are doing. So it would be easy to talk about all the volunteers in countries hit most substantially by the coronavirus, the volunteers in China. There's a contributor in Iran that I've worked with for quite a few years now. In Italy, you just had Luca on, David, the jug leaders that I mentioned earlier, the whole production team, including our new department chair, Marco, and of course, George is the J4 release. It would be unfair of me to mention all of those people, because
it's like you're getting an Oscar. I'd like to thank my production team, my family members, my wife for supporting me, my director who saw the magic in me, right?
But that wouldn't be fair, Chayton, for me to just list all those off, because that would remove the opportunity from future guests.
No, it's all right. We ask the questions. You can answer them however you like.
So I have just two more. So I would encourage folks to go to volunteer.joomla.org and just look at the reports. Go to volunteer.joomla.org. And in the reports, you'll see, I want you to focus on the people that are submitting those reports. Because many times they're the team lead. They're the one that's recruiting new volunteers. They're the one that's taking the minutes. They're the one that's leading the meeting. And especially the folks where they're submitting reports on a regular basis, they're just killing it. It's amazing. So I really think those folks are an important part of the lifeblood of the community. And then here's my final one, I swear. We just had the completion of the term of Harold Leitner, our former department chair for production. So if I'm going to set aside everything else that I've said just for a minute, I think it's important to acknowledge the work that Harold has been doing on the board for the last year. He's a very soft-spoken person, but he always speaks with great conviction and authority. So I've appreciated the work that he's done for Joomla.
Now, we actually do have a new question this episode that you didn't know about, and it's this.
Panic sets in.
Who do you love least in the Joomla community?
Tim Chayton, Tim Davis for asking the brutal questions on the air.
No, you said the truth first time. That's all right.
Tim Chayton, right?
That's okay.
I'd like to thank my landlord. And that's the end of Rapid Fire.
Brian, is there anything we didn't ask you that you want to mention or talk about?
Yes, I am devastated and appalled that I was not asked what my favorite podcast is.
Oh, okay. Well, back to Rapid Fire. Brian, what's your favorite podcast?
I say this with laughter, but in all seriousness, I love the work that the two of you are doing, not just because it promotes Joomla as a platform, but because you are taking the time to highlight folks that are doing amazing work on behalf of Joomla. And I think, again, it's sort of like the thing I was talking about with music earlier. The two of you are bringing together the skills that you have to contribute in whatever way that you can. And I know one of the barriers that I had, I spent 6 or 7 years using Joomla and not knowing that there was a place for people like me to contribute. Think about that. I spent 6 or 7 years using the software and not even understanding that a non-developer like me could contribute something to the project. So I love when folks are doing podcasts and Soren writing his songs about Joomla, and people coordinating events and helping with social media, Allison Meeks, and marketing and all that stuff. It's just amazing, the incredible array of gifts and talents that people are able to bring to the project and to share with others. And so thank you guys seriously for the work that you're doing here, both just in delivering the podcast, but also highlighting so many people that are doing great things on behalf of the community.
Well, we have a lot of fun doing it, and thank you for your kind words. That leads me to one other question. I just want you to whisper in my ear, on your favorite podcast, which co-host do you like more? just whisper it.
It's the one that speaks with the foreign accent.
Thanks a lot, eh? I knew for sure that you were talking about me.
Now you have to decide if it's Canadian or Hindi.
Brian, how can people reach out to you?
I just this week re-engaged. I'll give you the short, easy answer. You can reach me at brian.mitchell@community.joomla.org. Again, that's brian.mitchell@community.joomla.org. And that will follow me whether I'm the treasurer or the president, or as I continue to stay involved after my term is over. And and I'm on social media and all the stuff too. So,
well, thanks for being on the podcast today. I had such a good time meeting with you in Spain, sharing some meals together, not only talking Joomla, but you and I have some personal connections too that we were sharing in, and I really enjoyed that. Of course, Chayton could not be in Spain because of his criminal record. He's not allowed to go to Europe for 2 more years.
I think I'm probably not allowed to leave the country.
Yeah, well, right now, nobody's allowed to leave the country. So
I can't even leave my house right now. So
it's the same for me. Yeah.
Anyways, we wish you the best of luck and pray the richest of blessings on you as you step into this new role. And we are cheering for you, because if you do well, we're all going to do well. So.
And thank you very much for that. And conversely, my ability to serve well as a president is only limited by the contributions that people are willing to make. So I'm very grateful for everything that everyone is doing on behalf of Joomla, and feel really honored to be sharing that journey with everyone. So thank you.
Well, Chayton, I think maybe you're his favorite.
That's all right.
But anyways, we got to break this bromance up, because people are tired of listening to us gush about each other. So
JoomCast is recorded live on locations using Zoom, Audacity, and a banjo that Brian refused to play. This week it was USA, Canada, and India. If you want to reach me personally, my Twitter handle is @ChaytonMadan. If you want to reach Tim, he can be reached @BasicJoomla. Until next time, enjoy your Joomla sites.
God bless.